All right, so could you repeat the first question?
Of course, I was basically asking, why do you think Jesus chose to highlight the rich man's attachment to his wealth, specifically instead of focusing on some other area of his life?
I believe that it was to emphasize that when it comes to possessions, the law Jesus had fulfilled had been made much deeper. For instance, in the New Testament, the Israelites were commanded by God to offer all the necessary sacrifices to God, such as grain offering, burnt offering, fellowship offering, and many others. After presenting presenting all these offerings to God, they they were allowed to use their wealth according to their needs. However, in the New Testament, Jesus fulfilled the law and deepened it. And though the law regarding possessions had been deepened by Jesus as well, and one aspect regarding this change is the need to store up our treasures in heaven. However, the man who asked Jesus about how to inherit eternal life failed to store up his treasures in heaven because he stored up them on this earth. That this is the thing that Jesus intended to clarify through this story. Now in this New Testament era, our duty is to store up our treasures in heaven, not on this earth.
Absolutely. That's a great reflection. And I think you're really on to the core point. Jesus is showing that in the New Testament era, the idea of obedience goes beyond just literal rule keeping and really hits the heart. So Jesus picked the area that revealed this man's deeper attachment, his wealth, because it was the thing he was holding on to instead of fully surrendering to God. All right, let's keep the conversation going. Based on that, do you think this teaching about wealth has any specific implications for how we approach our own resources today?
So we must use the resources given to us, so that but to seek first His kingdom and His righteousness. This should be our top priority when it comes to using utilization of our wealth. If we use our wealth to meet our personal needs before seeking His kingdom and His righteousness, then we are storing up our treasures on earth, which is which is against God Jesus' command to store up our treasures in heaven,
Exactly. That's a great way of putting it. It sounds like
which
you're
goes
really
against.